In this lesson, we'll use splines to create the rest of the chin strap. So let's go ahead and draw out some straps that are going to come from this chin strap up and snap to the side of this helmet, and then over here we'll have these kind of laying on the floor, the ground or table or whatever it is that we have this helmet sitting on. So I'm going to go ahead and draw these out in the top view. We're going to go to create, and we're going to create shape, spline, and let's create a line. Let's turn off auto grid. And I'll start from the kind of side of this chin strap, click a point, and then let's just draw it very loosely so that it kind of from the top comes over to these snaps. And we'll make it a little bit longer than we might think. So we'll go ahead now and take this down to the floor. Okay. And then we can kind of tweak the shape of this by taking some of these vertices. And let me go ahead and get back to my marquee. Take some of these vertices and just move these around a little bit. Okay, we'll kind of stick this behind here. Some of these we'll put on the ground. Okay, but as it comes over in this direction, we need it to come up and snap to one of these points. We'll go ahead and make it snap right over here to this one at this point. Okay, so go ahead and just drop this kind of right along here. We want to overshoot a little bit. Okay, we want to overshoot that. And let's go ahead now and take this scale down a little. Alright, so we want to bring that right across the front of that snap. Alright. And if you want to, you can go ahead and add extra lines of resolution. Extra vertices in there. You feel like you don't have enough. And then we want to create something that's a little bit more natural, so we're going to bring this down and really make it kind of go down to the floor there. Okay, maybe this isn't quite have quite so much slack in it. It's probably going to be a little bit tighter. Okay, and now we're going to enable our geometry for this. But if we go ahead and do that, it's going to be round, and that's not really what we want. So what we can do is turn on rectangular, and that will give you more of a strap shape. Okay, you can change the length, which in our case is more like the width. Okay, you can change the number of sides that we have here. Go down here. Sorry, that was radial. We've got the length, which I said is more like the width. Then we've got the width, which in our case we can think of as more like the thickness. So we can take that thickness down. We want our width, or our length in this case, to be at least as wide as that snap. Okay, and then we can go in and grab some of these vertices and now start to bring these up above the base. We don't want anything to penetrate beneath there. Alright. Okay, and now let's go ahead and copy this. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take this line, just hold down Shift, and I'm just going to push it back in the X just a little bit. Create a copy of that, and then let's grab some of those vertices, and we're going to bring these up here. Okay, so now we can just start to shape this to match up with the snap over on this side. Go ahead and kind of move this out. Pull this out a little bit. Okay, can extend past there, that's fine. And then we'll just modify this so that it is kind of offset from the other one. And then it kind of matches up with this one as it comes in here to the base of this chin strap. Okay, just something that looks kind of natural. This line is maybe a little bit too kinked up there, so maybe pull that down and rotate this so it looks a little bit more natural. Alright, and now we need the sort of the buckle to go on there, so let's go ahead and create a primitive piece of geometry. Let's create a tube, and I'll just drag out a quick tube, and then we can change the the parameters of this guy, because we want it just to be kind of a frame kind of piece there. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to modify. Let's take the number of sides down to 4. Okay, let's take our height segments down. Take our height segments down. Okay, and then we got sort of a piece like that we can now take and put onto our strap there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and drop this down, and we want it to go right over the snap. So get that over there. Let's scale that up a little bit. There we go. And so then we'll just kind of rotate this around, make it a little bit bigger. We want it to be, the middle part to be at least as wide as the width of the strap that we've got there. Okay, we'll put it right over that snap. If that doesn't match up perfectly, that's okay at this point. Go ahead and make a copy of this, and we'll move it, go ahead and move it down and over here. Okay, and move it down there. And we'll want to put this one right over the top here. Okay. So if you want to, in the line that we've got here, what we need to do is actually sort of bring this forward, but we don't really have as much resolution as we might like. So we can always convert this to a polygon when we're ready. Go ahead and bring that back. If you wanted to convert this to a polygon and then take this polygon and just pull it out, you could do that. So for instance, go ahead and take this line. We'll convert that to an editable poly. Go ahead and take this polygon and sort of move that out. Okay. You might want to add a little bit of resolution in there. But you can see how that's now kind of bulging out there under that buckle, which is kind of what we want. We can go ahead and make all of this gray to match with the rest of our objects. I kind of prefer to have a single color there. Sometimes it can help you identify where some of the different pieces are. Okay, and then you just want to do the same thing over on the other side. We'll go ahead and start that process. Okay, just come in with your line. Okay, and go ahead and undo that. And you just want to draw that out. Okay, and just make kind of a loop with it. I'm going to try to maintain the same sort of length that you have on the other one. Okay, and let me go ahead and go to the perspective. Okay, we'll drop this down onto the top of the table there. Okay, and then start to modify this line. Bring this guy up a little bit, and you can see that we've got it kind of turned on some of these areas. We may want to go in and actually convert this and then modify the shape of it a little bit. Okay, so in that case, what we can do is go ahead and convert this to an editable poly, and then we can come in here, maybe grab these vertices. Let's go ahead and add a deformer. In this case, we can add maybe just an FFD, and just kind of shape this out a little bit so that a little bit closer to what we want. Okay, then go ahead and collapse that. And then you want to duplicate this to create the other strap. Okay, so we can go ahead and just maybe pull this across here. Okay, and then we can go ahead and take maybe some of these polygons here, some of these vertices here, and just kind of grab all these and just move those out of the way. And you can If you want to, you can kind of duplicate this beforehand before you convert this to kind of get the look that you want. Maybe we'll take some of these and start to rotate them. In this case, we're getting kind of more like a still piece there. But if you're getting something where it's actually attached to his head, you're going to have, more specific needs there. We can go ahead and take these buckles, copy these over, and just add these wherever you think the end of that buckle will be. It'll be before the end of these pieces here. So in this case, we'll maybe bring this over here. So something like that. Bring this down and over, and you don't want it to penetrate in with the ground. Okay, and if you really want to add some to this, you can go ahead and select maybe one of these elements. Go ahead and let's detach this element. So go to Edit Geometry, Detach, and we'll detach as a clone. Okay. And then go ahead and say Effect Pivot Only, Center to Pivot. And then we'll add this snap to the back of that, because really there would be some sort of a snap behind that buckle. Okay, so we'll go ahead and add that snap in there. You can do the same thing on the other strap that we've got here laying on the floor. All right, and I'll add a little bit of realism there. We can turn off and let's add our gray color to these pink pieces here. All right, and then we've got somewhat of a finished football helmet. And this is kind of looks simple in some ways, but some of the geometry, in order to get kind of clean geometry, you kind of think about it a little bit. It's a hard surface piece, but it's got a lot of sort of contours. It's got a lot of sort of kind of pieces that are cut out, and figuring out where all of those things go and what is one way to really get those built out very quickly. And 3ds Max provides a lot of tools to be able to do that, and we looked at several of the tools up here in the graphite modeling tools that are going to make your life a little bit easier as far as inserting resolution, inserting edge loops, and the techniques that we used to actually build this helmet. You could obviously use those to build a helmet or some sort of a, maybe even a motorcycle helmet, things like that, but also any sort of hard surface pieces that are going to have some contours, and also anything that's going to have this sort of tube-shaped geometry. You're going to want to look into at least using splines for some of that, because it's going to make things go a little bit easier for you. You can always convert that geometry over to polygons later if you need to do some different kinds of manipulation to that. So there we go. There is our finished football helmet.